Welcome, Shashank. So, as usual, I'm here to help you understand the AWS AIML managed services. We had a couple of sessions with Ashish and Sharik, and where I think you got an idea about SageMaker, Bedrock. So, I hope this interaction with you will be helpful. And I'm going to be sharing some tips about how you can use AIML managed services to cover your common use cases. Hope that helps. All right. So,
Surely,
let's
Parna, definitely helps. And let's get started here. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So while we're starting, I'm again going to brush up on what we have already covered. So it's just like a reiteration of what we've done. So we initially understood what is AI. It is a technology which mimics a human like behavior, right? And within AI, we have a branch called as machine learning, where we are actually training a machine with data. We are training it to think like a human. It is going to pick up some trends and data patterns. And these are simple models which can be used for classification, it can be used for forecasting, predicting things. But as we go deeper into ML, we have something called as deep learning, and that uses neural networks. There are multiple layers where we are passing our data through, multiple iterations that we go through, and it picks up different patterns. Now, within deep learning, then we have generative AI, where we're actually going to generate new content based on what the model has learned. So, in the previous models, the most simplified machine learning models, we were not creating new content, right? We were just inferencing or predicting things or classifying or categorizing things or forecasting things. But generative AI is that category of deep learning where we are actually creating something from our previous knowledge, right? So, this was the background that we had. Now, again, going through some of the places where AI has helped us or can help us is the first thing is customer experience, right? So wherever we have customer interaction, we can increase the engagement level. We can do personalization. We can have chatbots and virtual agents which can increase our productivity. So that's one place we saw another place where we can add on to the human element. So we will not have a totally ML agent working for us. We'll combine both the human as well as the ML component and make the human more productive. Okay, so for example, we can do text summarization, we can have FAQs, which can help the human boost their productivity. Of course, we have the third place where we can optimize and make our business processes better. So you must have heard of things like AI ops. What are we doing? We are basically introducing an AI component to our operations to streamline it better, right? So this can be done for anything like demand planning, for example, predictive maintenance, for any kind of inspection that we are doing, where a human factor can take its time. So we introduced the AI factor to it. And plus, the last part where we can use AIML is when we are introducing innovative products. So we can combine it with generative AI capabilities and make it even more innovative, which will probably make us stand out as compared to our competitors. So obviously, there are plenty of use cases, AIML use cases, and I would suggest that all of you go through this use case explorer. If you want, you can scan the QR code. And why this is important is you will notice that in your certification exams, there will be a lot of scenario based questions where your application of services will be checked. Okay, so you'll be tested on, do you know which service will be used for which use case? The more and more use cases that you go through, the better you will understand the application of each, right? So hope that makes sense to you also, Shashank. I hope no questions so far.
Yeah, yes, Parna. So far, so good. Just wanted to understand, like, then what if I deploy my own model, or if I'm like, hey, I want to use ML, and what would be the challenges you feel may come across if I'm thinking about, in that particular direction? Can you help me route, or can you help me understand, like, what challenges may come up in my near future, and how do I take care of them?
Sure. So first thing is, before you get onto your AI ML journey, Shashank, you will have to decide whether you have the relevant machine learning skill set in your organization, in your team. right? So based on the level of knowledge and the expertise, you will have to pick and choose whether you want to build a machine learning model from scratch, and you can use services like SageMaker, or you can build it right using frameworks like PyTorch and TensorFlow. Or you do not have that kind of expertise, you just want to pick something off the shelf and use it for a common use case, right? Now that you'll have to determine. Secondly, do you have the workforce, and do you have that bandwidth to actually go and label and annotate data, right? Data is going to be used to train your machine learning models. Do you have that kind of resources to do that, right? Because unless you have a certain set of data, labeled or unlabeled data, which is cleansed and cleaned and ready to be used for training, you cannot really build a intelligent machine learning model. So that's also a challenge for you, whether you have that capability. Next is to train these machine learning models. Obviously, you need a lot of high end resources, compute resources. You need GPUs. You can use chips like Inferentia, Trainium, etc., which are costly also. So, do you want to actually invest in all those infrastructure to start from scratch? That is again a decision and a challenge, I would say, for you, that you will have to decide. Plus, the entire management of that machine learning pipeline, right from gathering this data. So you can see up on my screen, there's a whole lot of process that goes into it, right? It's not only data collection, cleansing, the whole management, right from say risk management, making sure governance of that data, taking care of all the risks related with AI, right? Then labeling your data, training them. So you need to have that kind of resources, as I told you. And finally, making sure that your model is up to date, right? And it is giving accurate results. So it's possible that your data might also change over time. So again, you'll have to update your model. There can be a drift. So all these factors you'll have to consider to check whether you really want to build a ML model from scratch, or there is something called as out of the box managed services, which is already there for a common use case that you plan for your organization, and probably you can just pick it off the shelf and integrate it with your application. Hope that makes sense. Shashank?
Yes, yes, Vana.
Yeah.
That really helps. Thank you.
So yeah, so Shashank, you can see over here that there are three tiers of AI/ML services that we have at AWS. So right at the bottom, the one that you see, ML framework infrastructure. This is when you have a lot of expertise in your team, or you're planning to hire machine learning engineers, data scientists who have this kind of knowledge and they can build it from scratch. Then we come to the second tier, which is SageMaker. SageMaker can really accelerate your process of building machine learning. There are some pre-built solutions. There are some algorithms you can choose from. You can create your data using ground truth, right? You can create a whole entire pipeline, also machine learning pipeline. So there are a lot of facilities which are inbuilt within SageMaker, but you need to have some amount of ML knowledge, right? Now, if you say that I do not have any knowledge, I just want to pick and choose off the shelf, and these are common use cases. So you can see in the top tier, right? These are the managed services, and these are very common use cases. You can see this is for searching, conversation AI, industrial applications, healthcare, text related natural language processing and understanding, speech to text, text to speech. So these are very common use cases. And if you identify any of your workloads in your organization which can be utilized with these services, I will say go for this one, right? So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today, Shashank. As you can see, so we are focusing on these managed services. And as I
Yeah.
said, you do not need any prior knowledge of machine learning. You can directly use this and integrate it with your apps. Make sense?
Yes, definitely, Pana. So basically, today, were you referring to if I want to create a application which speaks or which translates
Mhm.
something? If I want to add those features, then we're going to talk about those services today, and
Yes.
we'll be discovering them further.
Yes,
Is that
yes.
the thing? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely right. So we won't really have time to go through all of them which you see here,
No
but some
worries.
of the very
Yeah.
prominent ones, I will walk you
Surely.
through them first and
No worries.
just give you an overview of capabilities of each of the popular ones. And then if we
Yeah.
have time, I'll probably show you some use cases, right?
Surely. Definitely.
All right.
This helps. Yep.
Okay. All right, so let's start with recognition. So, Amazon Recognition is a managed service which helps you to identify objects or images, face recognition. So, all of you must have experienced this at some time or the other. There is face recognition, there is object recognition, or imagine that there are speed cameras, right? So speed cameras captures moving cars. How does it capture the license plate, and how do you get like that automated ticket that comes to you? In certain countries you get that, right? So something like that, on those lines, Amazon recognition makes it easy to grab or capture objects and scenes and people from an image, right? So that's about recognition. Then we have Textract. Textract is a service which will allow you to go and process an image of a document and grab all the text components in it, right? And these documents can be of various types. It could be actually a PDF, it could be a form that you're filling. So Shashank, there are scenarios where these days the people are not filling in manual forms, right? They you everything has gone digital, so people might scan your forms and upload them. So how do you grab that text from there, from those forms? So that's where we can use Textract for it also, right? So as I said, it's not only just a form, it can grab information from tables as well, right? A structured data, and show it in a hierarchical format also, like there's a page, there's a sentence, there's a word. Okay, so it will group it. So we'll see a little more features a little later, but this is the general overview of Textract.
Sure.
uh, any questions out there, Shashank?
Yeah, just wanted to ask you, if I'm creating a marathon, in a marathon, we have number one, number two, number three. I want to read the bib number of who
Hmm.
came first, right? At which seconds. So at that time, then you feel the suitable will be recognition.
Yes. Yeah, so
Yeah.
recognition will be able to identify
Yeah.
the
Okay.
number. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
that's when it will
So
be
and yeah, and then when we are talking about OCR forms or medical form fills and
correct.
everything, at that time extract will come into picture, and you said
Correct.
it able to detect your PDF and it's able to pass those documents well, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it is
Okay.
an advanced level of OCR, that is
Yeah.
optical character recognition. So
Yeah.
traditionally OCR was very basic, rule based, but this is
Yeah.
more advanced. So it is highly accurate. It is faster, and I will
Sure.
say it can process larger volumes, right, as compared to
Sure.
the traditional OCR, right?
Sure.
Makes sense.
That really
Right.
helps. Yeah. Good to go ahead.
Then we have Amazon Lex. So if you want to create conversational AI, voice based, text based, you want to integrate it with your contact centers, call centers, right? So you must have seen this virtual agents or chatbots built into your applications, web based or your chat based applications, right? And they can ask, you can ask them some questions, and there are frequently queried questions from customers, and you'll see you'll get very quick responses, or it will route you to the right queue. All this intelligence can be built into Lex. In fact, the technology that is driving your Alexa, a lot of you must be using Alexa. Shashank, you must have used it too. That is the same technology that is used here, that is powered by Lex, right? And I'll probably show you that there are certain features these days. You can integrate Lex with knowledge sources and knowledge bases. You can combine it with the capabilities of Gen AI as well. So you can connect it to a knowledge base using Bedrock, and very frequently asked questions can be done too. In Lex, you there is a Visual Studio, so you can literally drag and drop and build it. So just in a couple of minutes, you can create it. You can put in a natural language instruction to create a chatbot also in Lex. So it's got really advanced from what it was initially. Yeah. So that is about Lex. Then we have Comprehend. Now, what is Comprehend? So Comprehend can directly assess your documents without pre-processing them. So it doesn't need to convert it to an image or anything. It will directly draw insights. Now, when I say insights from it, this is what we call as intelligent document processing, Shashank. So wherein I can grab and figure out different entities in my text. So when I say entities, I mean a name of a person, a city, a country, an organization name. So I can pick entities from it. I can look out for certain phrases in it. It can automatically identify languages also. It has that intelligence. And one of the very common reasons where we use Comprehend is for sentiment analysis, right? So for example, like in your organization also, there might be customer care emails that come in, right? And you want to assess the sentiment of the customer, right, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. So here is where Comprehend will help you, because it will do a sentiment analysis and tell you what is the customer actually feeling, or you can draw insights from that about certain product that you launched, for example, like how are your customers taking it, right? So sentiment analysis is one good area you can use comprehend. Another area comprehend is actually used, so in your organization, Shashank, I'm sure you must be having different categories of documents, and it must be a overhead, right, for you to actually manually group them or categorize them, right? So I'm sure comprehend can help you here. Comprehend has that capability of categorizing documents, so it can actually look into a document and say you are offering different kinds of insurance, right? Okay, so there'll be people who will be claiming for a personal insurance claim, somebody's for automobile. So how does it categorize? It will actually categorize and put it in the right slot, right? So this is going to help you there, Shashank. And
So,
let me, yeah.
so Parna, basically,
Hmm.
if comprehend, I understood is it is to make a sentiment analysis. And for example, what the best example which I liked was if I buy anything from a e-commerce portal xyz.com, I don't
Hmm.
like the product. I'm reaching out to the
Right.
customer support. I'm
Right.
interacting with them about the return and the refunds process.
Hmm.
And if you want to understand how was a conversation between the customer support and the customer at
Hmm.
that particular point of time, I'll use comprehend
Yes,
to understand the insights and whether the customer ended the conversation on a positive note or a negative note or neutral tone and so on, right? So at that time,
absolutely.
this is the best scenario where I can put it into picture. Okay,
Right.
amazing.
And
Yeah,
like you said, if we realize
yeah,
that they have a negative tone, then we know
yeah.
we have to send out a follow up mail to them to understand better, right?
Get
We don't
that,
want to lose
get
that
that.
customer, right?
Sure,
So that's where
sure.
it's going to help, absolutely. So even like we gather transcripts from conversations with our customers, right? So then you can analyze those transcripts also later on with comprehend, so you will understand how the conversation went. Okay, not only emails, even our chat transcripts. So that's where it will help as well.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That really helps for now. Thank you.
Sure. So we have some other services also, Shashank, along with Comprehend. For example, the world is becoming smaller and smaller. Everybody wants personalization, localization. They like it in their own language. So I'm guessing you also have customers spread over the globe, right? So we have Translate. Translate is not something new. You would say that, yeah, it was there before. But this is an advanced level service. Okay, it uses neural machine translation service. Uh, the benefit over here is it is highly accurate, very fast, and it is affordable. Okay, and the other benefit of the Amazon Translate services, it can be used for real time translation also. Say your customer agent is conversing in English, but the customer is talking some other language, right? So in real time also it can do the translation. Plus it supports batch translation as well, so that's a great benefit of that. Plus it has been trained with a lot of data from different domains as well. Okay, so that is where it stands out as compared to say your traditional translation services. Okay, so Translate is a great benefit for you in, I think, in any industry if you want to grab global customers. Then we have Poly. Okay, so whenever we say Poly, I think I'm sure you would identify it with the parrot, right? So what does the parrot do? It repeats what you're saying. So Poly is the ideal name. It converts text to speech, right? So this particular service can be used in your speech enabled products. Okay, so whether it's your mobile apps or in your cars, right, or any other devices and appliances. So it will convert your text to speech, which is very lifelike. You can choose from a lot of different kind of accents and different voices and genders also, which suits your customers appropriately, and it supports multiple 100 plus languages as well. Okay, and because it also has a caching service, so if it's already converted something to speech already, it will remove that from the cache, so it will cost you less as well. Okay, so that's one more great feature of Poly. And like I said, it is customizable, so you can even tweak the rate of the speech, so you can make it speak slowly, the pitch, the tone, so you can customize that too, right? I hope that helps and that will be useful for you, Shashank. And
Yep.
just like Poly, there is transcribe also. So transcribe is the opposite of what Poly does. This is speech to text, right? So I remember when we were discussing, you have some use cases in your organization where you want to actually capture the interaction between your support agents and your customers, right, Shashank? And you wanted to analyze it. So you can do that. So this is going to create those transcripts, and as I said, you can use those transcripts, combine that with comprehend later, right? I earlier told you, right? So this is going to convert those audio files. It can be actually static files, or it could be real time as well. So it has that capability of doing it real time as well. There are other advanced features also, so you can actually go and filter out certain words. So it's got vocabulary filtering also. So you want to keep a check on profanity, right? So you want to make sure that certain words are not included when you transcript it. So that is one thing. It will also detect your language, right? So it's been trained on millions of hours of data, right? So that is making it really powerful. Okay, so I hope this information was useful. Shashank, anything else you want to add or ask?
Yeah, I just wanted to, summarize it.
Hmm.
Translate as itself says it is going to convert my web page into the language which is supported by AWS, right? Poly would
Hmm.
be for text to speech coming into picture, right?
Right.
So, do you have something like accessibility that you can add this service and it will convert it into the language, and Poly will help you convert your web page into MP3. This is what I need to. Is my understanding correct? Like to add accessibility to a web page, you can translate, you can add Poly to
Yeah.
make you know
Yeah, so you
read
can
this blog
combine
as
these
well.
together. Yeah, so you can
Okay.
create an entire sequence. Like you can
Yeah.
start with translate, then add
Yeah.
poly to it, and then
Yeah.
have comprehend. So you can create an entire series and integrate these services together as well. Yes, you can do that too.
Nice, nice. And
Yeah.
coming back to if I'm in a call center, I'm talking to my customer agent, and
Hmm.
that audio is converted into a text format. At that time, I'll be using transcribe, right?
Yes, yes. And I
So,
just forgot to mention to
yeah,
you, Shashank, that
yeah, sure.
obviously audio quality is not great all the time. So
Yep.
transcribe is such a service that even when you are in a noisy background or you
Yeah.
have an accent, okay, so it's
Yeah.
intelligent enough to pick that up also in a noisy background.
Lovely.
So that's also a great feature. And you might say that, how do I know it's actually, because I don't understand that language.
Yeah.
Has it actually done it correctly? So a good
Yeah.
feature about transcribe is there is a confidence score that is associated with the words that it has, if it's there
Oh,
even in
lovely.
translate. So,
Yeah.
a confidence score, folks, is basically you. If you have a confidence score of say zero point 0.9, that means the
Yeah.
ML service is telling you I'm 90% confident this is exactly what it is. But if it is very low, say zero point 0.2 or
Yeah.
zero point 0.3, that means it's not really sure. So you know that you will be a little, there's a red flag. You have to be doubly sure. You can introduce a human in the loop. In that case as well, if it's a very critical decision making process that you're doing based on that. Make
Okay,
sense, Hashan?
that's really amazing. So basically, it's like if there's a low confidence score, I can add
Hmm.
a human in the loop.
Yeah,
Yep, and I can get
yeah.
it validated. Do you would is that a service again, or are you going to
Yes.
introduce any other service there,
So there is,
or I
I'm
have
not
to do
going
it
to be
manually?
yeah talking about it
Yeah,
much, but the human in
yeah,
the loop process, there is something called as a augmented AI service, which
yes,
is, so when there are critical decisions which have to be made and you cannot, for example, rejecting or accepting a claim, right?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
rejecting accepting a loan application. So you don't want your machine learning service to make wrong decisions. So you, if you want, you can have a human in the loop which will
yeah.
review the confidence score, right?
Okay.
So yeah, so that service is also there. Yeah.
Okay, that's really amazing. So basically, thanks a lot. I just understood as if I have created
Hmm.
an insurance portal and people are coming and chatting there, and someone
Right.
has raised a claim, and in
Yeah.
that claim, if I mean, the claim is valid or not, and if I want
Hmm.
that to be approved, and I want a human in the loop there, at that time
Yeah.
I can go for augmented one, basically.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely right. Yeah.
amazing. Thanks a lot, Perna, for helping me connect the dots. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Good to proceed.
Sure. Sure.
Yep.
All right. So apart from the other services that we mentioned, two other popular service we have is Amazon Personalized. So what is this service? It is a service which helps to give recommendations. Okay, so it can give you recommendations in your mobile apps or websites. What makes it stand out? It is like just in a matter of few clicks and in a few hours you have a personalized recommendation engine which is set up for you. You don't have to set it up or actually train a, recommendation engine or create a completely new ML model for it. Okay, so you can set it up really quickly. So the deployment part is really quick in hours, like I said. Another great thing about this is you can use it to predict what your customer wants to buy based on their historic data. Plus, even in cases where the customer has come for the first time and you have no information about them, right? Most of the recommendation engines are based on historic data. So what if this is a cold start? So it's intelligent enough to analyze based on certain patterns of what people are usually buying, and based on that it will give you top picks, or it'll put certain things on the homepage where it's seeing a certain trend. So even when you it doesn't have historic data of what the user has done or their purchase history, it can still recommend, right? So for real time personalization, like I'm saying, as the person is browsing the website, say you have a retail website, it can do recommendations. Okay, so that's real time, because it's possible that the customer's mood might change, right? So based on the changing behavior also, it can go and give you recommendations. So that's the very intelligent part about personalize over here.
So,
And
yeah.
yeah,
So
you
Parna,
wanted to add?
it's just
Yeah.
like it's just like I'm doing going to xyz.com
Hmm.
and I wanted to buy iPhone 16 Pro and
Right.
I'm adding it to the cart, but I had a last minute, I don't want to buy and I abandoned the cart.
Right.
So based on my activity or my user intent, basically what we're talking about, that is
Yeah.
I saw the product, added it to the cart, and then abandoned the cart. You will
Right.
send a 10% discount code to buy that iPhone at 10% more discount so that you
Right.
get back me, get that customer you lost and, you make me buy that product. So that's
Absolutely.
how you're avoiding user churn, maybe, I feel,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So at that
Yes.
particular point of time, personalize is coming into picture. Okay,
Right.
amazing. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
So, and it will recommend, like in a retail, if you've ever gone to Amazon.com, it will give you related products also. So, if you've abandoned the cart, you started looking at something else. So, it will start
Yeah.
associating that and start recommending you some related products, which it's seen other customers buying, right? If they've seen
Yeah.
other customers buying those, it will try to tell you maybe this will be more suitable. Or if you, I think most of the people over here would be watching Netflix or Prime. Have you seen those recommendations? So all of us see different things, right? So based on what kind of movies you've been watching, what kind of music you've been listening to, next time you log in, yours will be very different from mine. Okay, so that is another area where you can use personalize, or even in your travel booking sites, right? Based on the season. Okay, so now winter season is approaching, so it will probably show you things like hill stations and things like that, right? So it's a very intelligent service, and like I said, it can be done real time also. Okay, so that's the power of personalize. Yeah, so that's personalized, and then we have something called as forecast. As the name suggests, it's very easy to understand what it will do. It can predict things for the future, right? So you can accurately predict things for the future. So it's based on time series. So for example, you want to predict the price of a flat in a certain area. You want to predict which products will be popular in the future. You can predict how much of resources, workforce, that becomes a very big problem, right? When you have projects to plan, programs to plan, how much workforce you need, planning for that. Or inventory. Okay, forecasting your inventory, how much of inventory you need. Say there's a big like we have the Great Indian Sale coming up, right? Or the billionaire days that we have. So forecasting how many visitors will come to the website, how many footfalls you'll have. So predicting all this based on historical information, you can get predictions, right? So this is where forecast can really help. Hope that makes sense. Shashank, any
Yes,
questions there?
Parna. Yeah, just wanted to validate my
Hmm.
understanding that if I'm a seller on Amazon.in and if a big sale is going to come, you will
Hmm.
tell me, hey, Shashank, if it is 2024 right now, 2025 planners, if I'm selling or calendars I'm selling, you will
Hmm.
say
Hmm.
based on previous year's purchase and based on our
Yeah.
prediction, you need to stock this much up and that will help me, to be in stock, right? And at that
Yes.
time, I can use forecast. Okay,
Yeah.
thank
So,
you.
like you
That
correctly
really
said,
helps.
forecast
Yeah.
will take in historical data also, and you can supply some additional data also. So, forecast has a good explainability. So, in one of the previous interactions, Ashid has mentioned about explainability, right? So, explainability of a ML model means you can actually figure out what was the reason you got a certain prediction or a certain output. So you can make out using forecast that what was the dominant factor. Was it the price, whether it was the holiday season, whether it was the type of weather at that point of time. You can figure out what led to that decision also. So it has that good explainability as well, which is a lot of organizations want, because they need to know that how did it come to this decision. So that's where forecast shines as well. Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Bana.
right.
That helps.
Yeah. All right, so I see that we have about 20 minutes, so I'll quickly run through a little deeper into some of these services. So we already looked at Comprehend, but just to give you again a repeated view of all the capabilities. So you can see Comprehend, as I told you, it's a highly popular service. You can use it to gather sentiment analysis for automated email processing, like I gave you an example, routing of support tickets, right? Whether it is a billing related query, whether it is some troubleshooting you need, or it is to do with your account closure, for example. So it can even understand that what is the intent. So Shashank, like you rightly mentioned, Comprehend can also grasp the intent from these documents or chats or email, right? One great part about Comprehend is it can identify or mask the PII. Okay, so we don't want identifiable information like your name, date of birth, or personal health information, also PHI, what we call. We want to mask that, right? So it can identify those as well. So that is another good feature which I missed mentioning earlier, right? Sentiment analysis and categorization, which I mentioned earlier, document classification. So just repeating that, and these are some of the use cases clearly relating to the same features that we talked about earlier, right? So this is for Comprehend. Let's look at some of the use cases for Lex, right? So Shashank, in case of Lex, like you must be getting millions of inquiries, messages from customers, right? So how do you speed in that up? Plus when an agent gets on a call, right, you want to reduce that time. Like none of us really like that, you are on waiting while they route you. So you want to speeden up the routing process, plus you want to reduce the time for the agent to respond, right? So like I said, Lex has some intelligence in it. These days you can also connect it to knowledge sources, like you can connect it to Open Search, you can connect it to Kendra, you can connect it to a Bedrock knowledge base. So there are some frequent queries which always come from customer, right? You don't start from scratch. You connect it to these knowledge bases and you can quickly get those answers. So this is where your Lex can help. As I said, building a chatbot these days, you can combine it with the power of generative AI. So you can see an example over here that you are using Claude of Anthropic and you are giving some instructions. So if you see the prompt over here, where you are clearly giving your instructions, what kind of bot you want to build, you are giving the intent, meaning I do you want to order food, or is the person going to book a flight or book a hotel? Okay, those are your intents. And what you see over here, item ID, quantity size, these are in chat lingo, these are called as slots. So you're specifying these are the things you have to grab from the customer's conversation. Okay, so you're clearly giving the description, Shashank, and this is going to actually make your chatbot in minutes. Okay, so using the power of generative AI, so you don't have to do this from scratch. Isn't that awesome?
I was about to come there. Firstly, it's really awesome. Good to know that.
Yeah.
I was about to come there. Hey, we are talking about ML services. Where is this GenAI gone? We are in GenAI track. And can you tell me how with GenAI I can leverage these things with
Right.
prompts? Can I build something? So
Right.
thanks, Varna. That really helps.
Yeah, so we can see how they can be brought together. And another place where it can help in Lex Gen AI is what we call as utterances. Now, utterances meaning when we are chatting with the chatbot, what we are saying, those are called as utterances. Based on what we utter, it's going to figure out what our intention is, what we are asking it to do. Okay, so previously we had to manually create these utterances. Now you can create synthetic utterances. So you can again use Gen AI. So you can see clearly over here we are feeding it generated utterances saying that these are the type of things that the customer might probably say when they want to book a room. So think of this as a hotel booking website. So they can say, please book me a room type of number of nights. Can I reserve? I want to book. So these are different examples. So if you remember when Ashish had spoken about the multi-shot prompting and all, what were we doing? We're giving examples, right? So this is also another way. We are literally feeding the chatbot and telling it, these are the examples. Okay, these are the type of utterances. Within those utterances, the what you see as highlighted, these are called as slots. So pick up this important set of information to proceed ahead to actually go and do the booking. Okay, so this is the power of Gen AI, and of course you can use Lex across industries. So you can see in all these industries, whether it's in your customer service, whether it's in your sales and marketing, answering questions 24 by 7. You can also increase your productivity of your employees. So Shashank, I'm guessing that when you all have queries, say related to your payroll or any IT services or HR related queries, you must be pinging those people in your organization, which is highly annoying if they don't reply, right, Shashank?
Yep. And
Yeah.
just like you said a few minutes
Huh.
back, waiting time, no one likes to wait. And,
Right.
you're in queue. Please wait while we get back to you is the most annoying line. Yeah.
Exactly. So employee productivity, enterprise productivity is one of the very big areas where you can use Lex. So these days you can just chat with the bot, like it will answer you queries related to the HR policies, answer queries related to, say, your leave application, or something related to your troubleshooting something for, or you want to order some gadget uh, from the IT services. So everything can be done through a chatbot. So you're basically increasing your employees' productivity. You don't have a human component there. So that's also a big area that's used. And this is just a small example where the various features of Lex can be done. So, like I said, frequently asked questions. So, say a person approaches the DMV. DMV is the Department of Motor Vehicles, and they've called up a contact center and it's asking some very typical questions. So, the agent doesn't literally need to type that out and things like that, because the answer can come directly through that FAQs which I was showing you. You can integrate it with say Gen AI and it will pick it up from that knowledge base. So frequently asked questions. Then say the user wants to update some details. Okay, they want to renew their driver's license. Some kind of task needs to be done. That also can be done by this agent. After that, say a new kind of requirement is there for the customer. Say we wish to capture their details. So probably the person will show up their ID card. So we want to capture details from their ID. We can use text extract. We can combine all those things also, right? And then route it to the right agent. So this whole chain can be done using Lex as well as associated services. Yeah, hope that makes sense.
Definitely it ties up whatever we heard or saw so far, and how I can change those services and leverage Lex. Thanks, Pana.
Sure. So now let me come to like we were talking about transcribe. Now, uh, like I said, we had speech to text models before, right? It's not that it's something completely new that's come in 2024, but the technology that was used before was before we had foundation models. Okay, now that was dated before that. These days we have foundational models, like we spoke about earlier in some of our sessions. We can leverage those. The speed at which the transcription conversion of that speech to text happens is very fast. Okay, so that speed, the accuracy, also we can combine it with intelligence like Gen AI. Okay, so right now this is what the change has happened. Previously we didn't have those capabilities when we were converting or generating transcripts. Now we have these, right? And in these transcripts there are a lot of intelligent features in these transcripts. It can actually pick up punctuations, capitalization. You must have seen that auto generation of captions and subtitles for your videos, right? That's a very common requirement. It can do that as well. Important part is vocabulary filtering, like you want to filter out profanity. You wanted to even detect some PII, so you want to block that information when you're creating the transcripts. It is also intelligent enough to understand which language, so you don't have to specify that, hey, this is my input language. It can detect even the language because that's how it has been trained. So a lot of capabilities within transcribe, right? And again, transcribe also can be combined with generative AI. Like few examples over here. So for example, after you have generated your transcript, okay, there is a customer interaction which has happened and you want to come to know what is the emotion that the customer was going through while they were putting that complaint or they contacted your support center. So you can use generative AI for that, right? Or say there was a recording, there was a course, okay, which was recorded, a video recording of a course, and from that video recording you want to come to know the description of the course, what was the course about. Okay, or you can summarize it and create an entire blog out of that little course, that video that you fed it in, right? So a lot of these can be done where you're combining the capabilities of transcribe with Gen AI, okay, the Gen AI LLMs. I hope that makes sense. And
It does. Thank you. I was about to come there. Like,
yeah, any questions?
tell
Yeah.
me. Yeah. How do you, generate insights and so on?
Right.
It's very nice. You already covered it, Parna. Let's proceed further.
Okay. Sure. So, Shashank, I mentioned to you that text track can read from different types of input, right? So, I'll just
Yep.
run you through a few examples. Like it can just
Sure.
directly capture text from a scanned document, for example. You have forms, like medical forms, like you had correctly said, there can be medical forms. It can capture data from there. It can be your ID cards as well. One awesome part is the handwriting. Okay, so it can even capture and understand handwriting. Okay, so it can understand what text that from that handwriting it is capturing from tables. You can even run queries from the captured data, right? So say it's captured data and somewhere in that text that it's captured, some sales figure is there, or some amount is mentioned over there, so it can actually go, you can do natural language querying and it can draw that out as well. Sometimes we are asked to upload documents, right? We have a lot of contracts, legal documents, and many of us miss out signing on certain pages, right? So textract can even identify signatures, that whether it is there on multiple pages, whether it is matching or no the signature. So it can do that also. So just a quickly a glance through, so says this is a document. It maintains a hierarchy, so it can identify this is a page, this is a line, within that line there is a word. So that level of capture it does. You can see, if you give it a structured data, like you can see this is a table, it can drill down to the table, to the cell, to the word in the table, so it will maintain that relationship, right? So that is for tables. If you filled in the form, it will maintain key value pairs and group them also. So this was one entire group, right? The full name. So it had extracted it as name value pairs and grouped them as well. Okay. So this is another easy way to extract. Signature detection, like I said, it can detect, and see over here it's giving a confidence score, okay, of 95%. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's also a great way of validating that it's correctly done its task. We have invoices and receipts, right? We tend to upload that, say for reimbursement or other purposes as well. It can actually go and figure out the line items. You can see it has actually gone and figured out each line item and the dollar value against it. Another
Lovely.
very
So,
important one. Yeah,
yeah, so this
definitely.
reminds me of if we use Concur, that's SAP product to, raise invoices, I
Right,
can use this service so to identify the invoice ID. And if that
right.
invoice ID is already claimed, I won't let you upload the same duplicate one. So that's how you can, avoid
Yeah, so
duplicate
it,
filing
yeah,
of,
so it would have captured all those line items, and
yeah,
obviously it would,
yeah,
our system would go and store it somewhere. So if it,
yeah,
like you mentioned, if there is identical invoice number, possibly because you're trying to be
yeah,
smart and upload again, it will
yeah,
stop you there, right? So that
yeah.
you can add on the intelligence to your application beyond this as well.
Lovely,
Yeah,
lovely. Yeah,
yeah. And this is something where many of you would have seen, where identity, when you have your KYCs and all, right? You can just show your document, and it can capture many things from the document: your name, your residence, say your passport number. Okay, so it can do that as well. So for any events, or when you're checking into the airport, for example, so it can be used there. So it's a really powerful service by itself. Yeah. And yeah, let me just quickly show you some other places. Okay, so just some use cases, we won't be able to run through so much. Like, so Ryanair, you would have heard about Ryanair. It's an airline. They have made use of Lex, Comprehend, as well as Translate, right? So they have a multi-channel chat platform, and they have used both. They've used Lex as well as SageMaker. Okay, and as I said, you can combine all of these services together, right? And because they support multiple languages, and like there will be people from different countries traveling, and they would want that localization, so support for multi languages, uh, understanding their sentiment, okay, airline booking, etc., translation. So all of these can be combined together. Then another example would be, say, for intelligent document processing. So whenever we think about document processing, intelligent document processing, you'll always see comprehend will come somewhere or the other, right? So comprehend can be used over there. So say you have submitted your application. So these are some of the examples, right, of insurance forms, loan applications, mortgage applications, medical forms, right? So it can capture, extract those entities that I was talking about, or you can use textract also to extract that information. Say you have scanned your form and uploaded it. Remember, to extract actually requires the image format to capture it. In comprehend, it doesn't need to pre-process or convert at all,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if you see over here, Shashank, you were asking me about augmented AI, human in the process, because these are critical decisions, right? So you will add augmented AI to have the human in the loop, right? Over here,
Yep.
of course, you can also use SageMaker to build your own model. So it's up to you. It's not that you cannot use, but it's up to you. If you have that kind of expertise and you want to build a model from scratch for this purpose, you can use SageMaker as well. Yeah, and last couple of minutes we have, so I'll pick another service which I didn't mention about. So there is a service called as Monitron and Amazon Lookout. So predictive maintenance is very important, Shashank, for industrial reasons, for maintenance of aircrafts and your equipment maintenance. So waiting for a full-on outage, it is better that you proactively have some kind of intelligence service which will hint to you that there is something wrong with your equipment. You need to go and service it before your usual maintenance or schedule cycles, right? So it really helps your engineers, okay, so your maintenance engineers to proactively do it, okay. This reduces your downtime, right? So this is really good. So these two services, Monitron and Lookout, okay, these are used, and this is one of uh, the customers, Baxter, who has made use of these services, and this has considerably reduced their downtimes, right? Because you already come to know that there is something wrong with your industrial equipment, you will go proactively and fix it beforehand before it affects you, right? Yeah, so that's about it. And I think, Shashank, hopefully I've covered a lot of services. We have a
Yep.
lot more, so feel free to come back to me if you have questions about other services as
Surely.
well.
Surely, surely. I would say, firstly, thank you for, bringing this use cases, helping
Yeah.
it stitch back, like how I can connect those services and how Gen AI comes into picture. And, certain important keywords like if I have to create conversational applications, I'll use
Mhm.
Lex. If I have to
Yeah.
convert text to speech, translate comes into picture and so on. Yep.
Right. Right.
So,
Absolutely. So you can see this particular, I didn't have a chance to go through this, but you can
yeah,
see in all these industries, very common ones, gaming, social media,
yeah,
e-commerce, you can combine all of these, right? So if you see
yeah,
the most popular ones, recognition, transcribe,
yeah,
comprehend, translate, all of them can be used together, right?
yeah,
And like you mentioned, again, combine that with Gen AI and make it even more powerful.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Shashank. So I hope to see you next week. And yeah, you will also be building some great things with us. And over to
Surely.
you, Prasad and Sharik.